All right. So far, this has been the hardest part. You know, it's asking for trouble, but if you see, the other one was much harder, but then this one's been soaked in penetrating oil overnight. All right. I've got this guy pretty much out of there. Actually, it is out of there. I just dropped it down. Now, I really liked putting floor jacks under both sides. This is not something I've done before because never pulled an axle. But I was able to use that to kind of, you know, go different ways. But it looks like we've now got access. And now the one thing I almost forgot was this guy, and something else I have not done. I haven't drained this case and stuff yet. I don't know if it mattered or not. Now, another thing I had an issue with, I could not get that lower control arm bolt out. I couldn't on there. What I decided I'd do is, while I had this thing out, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to replace all the bushings. Just kind of look at that. It's not. It didn't feel bad or whatever, but in the back, up here, might as well do it while I've got it out. I'm doing too much stuff not to change the bushings. So that's another thing I forgot to grab. I went ahead and grabbed a couple more lower control arm bolts with the cam, whatever you call them, just your caster, I mean. I think I'm gonna try to touch up paint a little bit. I'm gonna try to fix that leak I've got, change my oil, you know, all the little things to have this, have my Jeep running maintained pretty well once I get her back. So anyway, if you want to see how easy this comes out now, it'll probably have to rotate up a little bit, but you can see it comes up pretty straightforward. And I'm gonna get it out a little further, and then I'm probably gonna have my wife help me, and I'm gonna get it up on some sawhorses so I can get to work on this thing. But I'm pretty excited, you guys. I feel like I'm gonna get this thing back. I have a pretty good front end feel. All right, got this on the engine hoist. I'm gonna keep cleaning it off, and all right, been going for about 12 more hours today. Got all the bearings out, got the differential out. I'm waiting to do the bushings when I actually have some stuff in stock. These guys probably need to pull soon. And definitely, man, those hubs were rusted in real bad. I got new hubs coming. And dust shields. I ended up having to destroy them to get the rusted crap out. I'm debating to pull these guys or not. I'm going to read through the ARB. Got everything pulled out of here. And I'm starting to clean up, but I haven't yet. I'm going to get those seals out of there first. And then also, I've got some extra work I've got to do. If you notice, I don't know if you can see it or not. If you can see, on my housing, I don't have this drainage at the bottoms. So I definitely have to cut this one, because if not, I won't have room for the tubing, the little copper tube that comes off of it. Over here, I guess I just need to cut that just so this axle has enough lubrication vent, or whatever you want to call it. So I'll cut into that, which I don't think is going to be that big of a deal, but that's going to have to be done before the cleaning process, before finish installing anything. But now I've got some questions on here that I'm gonna be looking around and see if I can find some answers to. But right now, I guess I gotta get that area cut so I can fit. Now this is something foreign. This locker setup is very foreign to me. Well, I've done a 11.5-inch AEM axle in my truck, and that was a completely different install than this. But we'll see. This is new. I'm kind of excited though. All right, so here's there's the old 307 pinion. And I guess I'll show you the setup. So basically, this outer race is going to be inside your case, so the differential, and then you're going to have your crush ring. Then, well, this ain't going to go all the way on very easy. I'd have to make some room. But then basically, oh, okay, it goes on. There's your oh. Gotta have my outer race on there, which that would go into the housing. Anyway, you've got that. Now this bearing here is meant to slip a little bit more on that shaft. It's got a better clearance than this is like a slip fit. This other fit's probably like a interference type fit, freeze install type fit. Well, it means you heat it up. And then you're gonna have your slinger out here, which apparently just meant to get that taper roller bearing a little bit more grease or oil, I mean. And then you're gonna drive that bad boy in. And then you got this guy going in. That seal rides. Now, these nuts, and I didn't know this, and in the past, I have reused these nuts before. These are not perfectly round, and apparently the teeth are a little sharper, so they're meant to actually deform. And by deforming, that's how they stay on. So, granted, I have not had that problem before, but it is an issue. Something else to note, this one here is it's real smooth, even though you can see this line here. At least I think you can see this line. I can see a line. If you have a little bit of a groove here, I suggest replacing this, because once you get this crush washer set up, you are supposed to, anytime that you take pressure, you back that nut off, you're supposed to replace that crush washer. Well, I'm sorry. If this has been torqued properly, then you're supposed to replace this nut, and you're supposed to replace this crush washer over time. As you can see, that's not a super. This is not. I don't know. In my opinion, that's not an easy thing to get off while it's in the. These, like, mainly. I always find that this bearing is not something that's going to come off easy. I guess you could. Maybe I should use actual. Whatever. Anyway, that's something to note. I have looked to see if there is a crush washer or eliminator, because essentially, I don't really understand. I mean, I do understand it, but I don't see why you can't just shim it. Have a set of shims to set your preload where you want it. This is the only setup and differentials is the only time I've ever seen that set up. And other bearings, I've never seen this. We cut and we test to make sure we have the proper clearances. So, but whatever, that's not what they tell you to do. So I guess if you ever do change, see, these are the guys. I've had issues where these had grooves, and so you could replace this as much as you wanted to. It wasn't gonna last for long. Other places these will leak is around the splines. Probably a little less likely, but it's probably a good idea going to throw a little silicone on there whenever you slide her on there for the last time. And then, now my question I'm going to have is, I'm not sure if they've got any shims or anything like that in here behind this bearing, because the question is to get your looks like just one solid washer. It looks like to get your bearing clearances or your your pinion depth right, you have two places you can adjust your depth, and that's going to be either behind this tapered roller bearing, or it's going to be behind this outer race, which means that you've got to shim it inside the case. Let me show you where. Okay, if you shim inside the case, you got to put your shims here, and then you'll have to pull this race in and out as you adjust. That's difficult, so you're either going to have to make a dummy bearing, or you're going to go through a bunch of bearings, or a bunch of other things. So I'm going to look to see what shims I've got. If I have shims that are going to fit in here, where I know that I'm going to make a dummy outer race. If I've got the shims to go behind this tapered roller, I'm going to get another cone here, and I'm going to hone out the center, and I'm going to use that as a dummy. So it really comes down to what I've got, so you'll have to stay tuned with me to see what I can find.